Oh, now my camera want to act funny. All right, cool. There we go. There we go. All right. Here we go, everybody. Go ahead and get a little differently there, angle. Ba da ba ba ba. I guess we loving it. All right, so I was like, anybody joins in, how everybody doing? If not, joining at any time. It might be something I try to do uh more like some nighttime. This is when I'm like mostly up. So what better time? I was like, hey, who else is some night owls out here? I was like, who is some midnight people? That's what I'm trying to figure out. I know everybody, more people up during the day. Of course, it's light out. Who wouldn't be outside during the day? But sometimes the light is blinding. So why not just be up at night doing some old night out? Y'all might be doing some stuff you ain't even supposed to be doing, or you can't do in the daytime. So guess what? Right now, you might want to sit back, relax. You might as well just have some fun at the very darkest time period of the day. You get it. Anyway, so the NFL, let's get on. Let's go ahead and might as well get on right to it. The NFL divisional weekend did deliver just as much as it did for the wild card weekend. I was like, we had the Bills versus the Broncos. I was like, we had the New England versus the Texans. We had, of course, the Bears versus the Rams, and we had San Francisco versus Seattle. I was like, let's go ahead and just get the fastest one out the way. Seattle and San Francisco. Now, this game, I didn't even have a chance to watch. That's how badly and how things just got so out of hand. It was just basically a kickoff. I was like, touchdown. And seemed like it was a wrap after that. Like I was over here and I was like checking my phone. I was like, oh, there's not even really any point in watching this game. I'm not gonna even try to say anything about the game, fake it of just like, oh, I've seen some highlights. I didn't watch the game. There was no reason to watch the game. I'm not going to be one of those people that try to BS it through that way. All I would say is that not that I'm really surprised that I was like that this happened because we seen sort of how that last game of the year played out, but I thought it would be a little bit more contested. I thought that if you would at least try to get their offense a little off, the Seattle's offense a little off, that you would have a little bit of a chance, and that you would think that I would like playing a squad for a third time that you might be able to basically give them, you might have some way of figuring out, you might have some way of doing some things. But that did not happen. I was like, the Seattle team is basically legit. I was like, especially their oh, my bad. Especially with their defense and stuff like that. But and I'll just talk about the 49ers that what, out of all the teams here, I feel like they should be not worrisome. But I was like, feel good, but not worrisome, just because all most of your team is hurt. Most of your team is out in a way that if you made it this far, you could say, okay, we had them dudes healthy. But this is also a problem all the time with San Francisco, that they always have a whole bunch of people that is hurt. So therefore, what what do you change? What do you do? I was like, but at least I was like, but see, and it's weird because like it's some spots they're almost like the Chiefs, which is funny because they, since I was like that's who they battled a couple of times. Is that you now have to start figuring out what you need to replenish and get rid of. Warner, I was like, I'm pretty, like Warner and Bosa. Bosa always gets hurt, but they pretty much, I think they're fine there. I was like, they've done this with the receivers where they've gotten like, Pearsall and some other people in there as well too. But with Kittle gone, do you draft like now? Do you try to get a tight end? I was like in the draft because they're not gonna really have the money like that to make it work. Um, do you get another? Do you get another receiver? Because while Jawan Jennings has been really good, he's been Brock Purdy's basically safety blanket. I was like, he's been sort of their, uh, I want to say glue guy because McCaffrey's like the MVP of the team. I was like, do you still go out and get another receiver? Because you thought you were going to have Brandon Ayuk to expand that offense. You didn't have him, so therefore you sort of have to get another receiver as well. Um, yeah, so I was like, do they got some things to worry about? Yes, because they always got people who always get injured in a way that seems higher than most of the league, almost like how the Lions do. But I don't think it's. I was like, but they also made it this far. I feel like you feel better about Brock Purdy than how like you don't like. I think the questions are sort of gone a little bit out the way of Brock Purdy. Is he just a game manager? He's just this. He's just that. Um, but we also did have a good Mac Jones middle of the year to where they're gonna have to make a decision on that. Because I wouldn't be surprised if someone tries to trade probably I want to say probably like a fourth because he's on a 1 year deal for Mac Jones. But you also might want to really keep Mac Jones because Brock Purdy do get some of them knick knack paddywhack injuries. So keep him. I was like, they just gotta have to win in the draft. That's really it, because they're not just gonna have money like that to spend on things. They're on the margin, but you know that you got the team. You know you have a quarterback. You know you got stuff in place to where, and I mean, yes, I was like the coach. Is there gonna be questions? Probably, but I don't think so. I think he's sort of he's just gonna be a foundation. I don't think that there's going to be anything about him being necessarily fired, but at the same time, you got stuff like with LaFleur over in the Packers. Never say never, I guess. Um, like I said, nothing to go about that game. That one pretty much it. Um, now, uh, let's hit the main one. I feel like the main thing that we're going to talk about this Broncos and we're going to talk about this Bills game. I'm sorry, Bills. Okay, I'm not sorry. I was like, you know what? I'm tad bit sorry, Bills fans. You're just going to get over it. Look, one different referee crews got different things. Yes, y'all want to have the rules. I'll be like, this is the rules. But then y'all also cry and be like, what about the spirit of the rules? I was like, you're mad about the interception and stuff like that. It's like, oh, it shouldn't end that way. It shouldn't end and it shouldn't end on a pass interference call. When I was like, it was just a couple weeks ago. I really forgot who was playing, but they did. I was like, but I remember it being a whole topic on like Get Up and all them of basically, hey, the referees didn't call I was like the flag, and it's like they should have got a flag. I was like, it messed up the game. But now y'all want the flag. Now y'all don't want the flag. Now y'all want the whistle. Now y'all want them to swallow the whistle. Make up your mind. See, it only really matters when, of course, it benefits your team. The problem is that with the Bills and Josh Allen is that this isn't just Bills Mafia. Bills Mafia, I understand why you're sort of enraged and fits. I was like, that's what you're supposed to be. You're a fan. But the thing is, the Bills are the media's team. The Bills are other people's favorite team. Josh Allen is their favorite player, which makes this a different topic to be mad about or to analyze. That's why I'm like going on Twitter for nearly since that moment, even up to like today, it was just kind of just like just a travesty. Josh Allen, how I was like, how dare y'all not swallow the whistle right now? I don't care if it was a flag. I was like, this never happened. Have you never seen anything that's like this as a catch? And it's like, what? It's like, so the thing is where they were like Brandon Cooks is down. The thing is that if the defender had a chance at the ball and Brandon Cooks is going down, which it probably would have been an incomplete pass because he didn't necessarily corral it all the way through. If the defender had a little bit of the hand in the ball and y'all both go down and he is able to snatch it out, that normally goes to the defense. Why? Because people were bringing up the Xavier Worthy and the Xavier Worthy and the I think it was the Bills from last year, and it was like, oh, they gave it to Xavier Worthy. It's like, yes, because when he caught it and they both go to the ground and they're both holding on to it, which now wasn't this, first of all, but also when that happens, it goes to the offense. The tie goes to the offense. So therefore, it doesn't matter in this situation. And all the examples that everybody is bringing up really doesn't matter in this same case. Like you the defender, I was like basically any defender, like if you do a really quick move, guess what? That's probably gonna be it. I was like, you'll have a chance at that interception. But guess what? If his hand would have been stuck while Brandon Cooks had the ball, guess what? Offense. I was like, they both would have been holding on to the ball. Offense. Um, yeah, it's always going to favor the offense. So this rare occasion, plus less. I was like, then this is sort of what gets me as well too with this as well too. All right, though I was like the Riley Moss one. I could see people being like, why wasn't that necessarily called? But one, Brandon Cook slowed down, what made the ball basically go over where he didn't have a chance to really catch it. Also, so that's on Brandon Cooks, but also his hands were free. It's different than the one that they got White on Sutton, where it was, or I was like, yeah, I believe it was on Sutton, to where he only had one arm to catch it because his other arm was basically snatched up. Normally, with a one-handed catch, they're looking for the PI because it's like, why can't he get his other hand out there? So when that happens, guess what? You're sort of, and I was like, you're sort of beholden to the refs. Um, so that's why the Raleigh Mouse one wasn't really PI in that situation. Um, but with the Brandon Cooks one, Brandon Cooks had a step on the defender. If that was a ball that was thrown out more, as we've seen Brandon Cooks to get far down, guess what? That might have actually been a touchdown. Um, but let's not act like that they robbed Josh Allen, they robbed the Bills, they robbed your savior, whatever. John Allen gave that game up. He was down once again, like he's been several weeks. The defense played good. I was like the defense played pretty much on par. They had a good game. I was like James Cook. I was like, yes, he had. I was like, he had that fumble, but he pretty much was lighting the Broncos' asses up. There were no ifs ands or but. Like Shakir, and I was like the tight ends. This is actually one of the games that I think Joe Brady actually called really well. Like he actually called really well because I was like, because I actually, to be honest, as much as I get, I attack Josh Allen or go at Josh Allen, and it's really just to combat other people and all his and the narratives they bestow upon him. I really think that a lot of stuff that people complain about, whether it's the receivers and all that other stuff, I really kind of think some of that's on Joe Brady. And it's on John Allen play style because nobody likes to talk about that the way he's a scrambling quarterback throws the offense off differently than a Lamar Jackson like type. Allen is sort of like Mahomes in that, where it's like, but where there's like structure and then it breaks down. Lamar's is not really that type of way. Like everybody's still sort of doing their route, which sometimes actually hinders. I was like messes up the receivers with Baltimore, but that's a different thing. Here, I think that the receivers here and uh with the Buffalo, my bad, is that when Josh Allen gets to scrambling, you don't have any of them have the wherewithal outside of Shakir, and they were able to get Samuel back, which I think is a big help. I was like big help because that's the kind of receivers that Josh Allen needs if they're not going to be a top notch receiver. But think about it. Diggs is a receiver that comes back to Josh Allen. He used to come back all the time. He does it with Drake May. That when it comes to this, I was like, those receivers, Samuel. I was like, if they would have installed a little bit more with Hardman, which I think they should have actually did a little bit more stuff with Hardman because he is a sort of dude like just give him the ball type of guy. Anyway, Joe Brady called a really good game considering all them things. Um, but Josh Allen was giving the ball away. Josh Allen had that ridiculous fumble, right before the half. But also why? Not him. I mean, yeah, I guess you could say why is he holding the ball out like that? But why did they decide to actually just be like, man, we got like about like 20 seconds. Y'all want to see if we can go down here? Crazy. But for Josh Allen to also run, and I was like, I get it. You just have a little bit of time to think you're going to do something. But let's not act like Josh Allen played a good game here. Josh Allen did get them into the spot of basically having a chance to win the game. Yes, he also, like I talked about that one to Brandon Cooks that was a little short. He missed Dalton Knox. I was like, I believe it was Knox or Kincaid, whatever. They both start with K. On a wide open touchdown, game over situation. And sure, maybe he gets that 9 out of 10 times that this was the one, but he missed it. He missed a chance for them to win. Hey, it happens. It sucks. Far as the team goes, far as the fans that you are, but everybody else is just making a whole scene where they're just like feel so bad for him. Look at him and all this other stuff, and I'm just like, why? Why? First of all, y'all should be used to it. He's been doing this for several years. I was like, look, we could talk about. I was like, we could talk about Lamar all day, and the L for Lamar stands for Lamar loser. That's what that is. Guess what, John Allen, same boat. He got two L's in his name. That's I was like, cause that's how many losses he pretty much always racking up on. He lost. Cool. That's it. Hey, yeah. But for everybody, for all of y'all to feel sorry for him, like so many people, get out of here. Whatever. Miss me with all that. Um, yeah, but I like Buffalo. Buffalo, they had a shot. They was beating the Broncos. I think I was like, and look, and then I was like, he started heating up. I was like, the team wasn't able to get on a roll because they was losing. They were like 23-10 at one point. And Bo Nix, I was like, hey, I said on the X that Bo Nix, I was like, and John Allen are sort of like it's kind of really similar, like in that play style. But he just have to match up. It's the same thing I thought about Trevor Lawrence last week. I was like, if you match up with Josh Allen, y'all will win because I was like, that's what you have to do. It's almost like in basketball. Like, yeah, like everybody talk about like the quarterbacks don't match up against each other and the quarterback blah blah blah. It's not a win category stat and all this other stuff. Sure, whatever. Y'all want to say that and then y'all like to use it. But like good like if like basically NBA, if you have two good players, two great players, whatever you want to say, and you can match the other great player, if you can have somebody match it up, yes, I was like, there's the intangible stuff that you can't put a price on or whatever. But at the same time, I was like, if you pretty much can be even with them, you have a chance. I was like, you have a chance to win because it's like, okay, now who's their next to their next? And I was like Denver. I was like they wasn't really running the ball like that. I was like they were doing pretty good in the passing game and stuff. But I was like, but James Cook and all them, I was like, they was really going Buffalo. They just kept turning the ball over, and they was able to stop it. And then guess what? You've seen that the Broncos didn't really have too much in that case. Cool. Um, and the crazy thing is the person to really be sorry for is if you was going to be sorry for somebody is Bo Nix. The fact that he's out to play because he broke his ankle. Like what? That's crazy. When did that happen? Kind of thing. Uh, and it seemed like he just kept playing with it. But yeah, like that's the thing. Like that's the person to sort of like yeah, sure. The dude gave it his all. Hey, whatever. Okay, but I was like, the dude that won is not going to be able to read what he sowed. I mean, I was like, he can read what he sowed. That probably is a bad term in that situation. Um, yeah, but the Bills are out. The Broncos won, and I was like, guess I'm going. I guess I'm going for the Broncos in this case because to our other the what the happened? CJ Stroud, dog. And I was like, I might get back to Josh Allen later, but CJ Stroud, bro, I I ain't know. I was like, look, I ain't gonna make no allegations. I ain't gonna say too much, but bruh, if you was gambling, just let us know. Just tell us. You need money? Is that what happened? You the mafia? Does the mafia know? Do do you owe something? Huh? Cause the way you was playing that game, what was going on? And the reason I say that is because I'm like, hey, I was like, look, Drake May ain't have a good game either. Which that's I was like, that's gonna I swear to God, if I hear these there tomorrow, I'm gonna flip my wig. Is because I was like, I already seen one from Bleacher Report. It was like Drake May, 3 tutties. I was like, against CJ Stroud's awful, disappointing performance, which it was, but let's not act like Drake May played a good game. He had the 2 touchdown passes. Cool, we're gonna give him that. But he lost fumble after fumble after fumble, and they basically couldn't get all of them. That's really what it was. Drake May did not play a good game. He was getting lit up. And I was like, hey, that defense is crazy. I understand that. But let's not act like it was a good game. But back to CJ Stroud. Because this is what I was like. I seen somebody at a meme online, and it was funny. It was like Josh Allen, his 4 turnovers, and it was just like, oh, he's cute. Basically, like he's the attractive person, and then it's like an ugly person with CJ Stroud's 4 turnovers, and it's just like, oh my God, I'm calling the police or HR or something like that. And I do act. I was like, on one hand, I was like, we are going to talk about their turnovers differently, just like how I said about Drake May. His is already being like erased. Josh Allen's is also going to be erased in a way, but I want to see how it gets talked about because they are different. They are their turnovers are different. Cause I was like the interceptions for Josh Allen's, for instance, is a defender. Also, like he did also he threw the ball again, but the defender made a great play and cutting that off. Cool. The other one where you could say like, was that an interception? Was that not an interception? I was also still a great play on the defender, whether you agree with it or not. I mean, I guess if you don't agree with it, then it's not. But you get what I'm saying. The flimsy cartoon looking fumble that Josh Allen had at the half. That's one of those like those are the inexcusable. Like, what the hell are you doing? Like, that's not. I was like, and my thing is, if it's a tip pass, a defender playing making a great play, there's some turnover that I'm just like, it's like, damn, that was crazy. That defender, he did a really good job, or something like that. The ones that, and I was like, even Drake Mays, it's like his left tackle kept getting beat, but the running back didn't chip right. You could talk about Josh McDaniels over here still calling plays where they got to go so much downfield that it did work on one play, got the touchdown over Stingley, but I was like, you could blame everybody a little bit more than Drake May. Like, yeah, like there wasn't like Drake May having to step. Like, you get what I'm saying? CJ Stroud's turnovers was some stuff where I feel like, what are you doing, bro? What are you doing, my guy? What is up here? Because they were bad interceptions. They were bad intercept. They were interceptions in a way that make me question. And I'm like, I don't really like to do it, but your actual thought process. What are you thinking? What is your why when they be like quarterbacking IQ or whatever like that? What it is? And I was like, after last game where he basically gave up the game to the Steelers. I mean, was trying to get the game to the Steelers. The Steelers just ain't have enough to do it against the defense, and almost really, and New England almost was in the same situation. They like the pick six where the tight end slipped. I understood that, but he should if he just eats the sack, you live to fight another day. He just throws it up, and I get maybe he was like, oh, if I just throw it out of bounds, but at the same time, you was getting pounded on to where you thought that was a good idea. I'm like, what is that for a pick six? And I was like, well, let me just talk about the other one because I'm like, he should have had like 3 more. But the one where he threw it to the receiver I was like going out and he threw it behind him. That's a pass that you just don't make at this stage of your career really anymore. Like you just throw it out or whatever, all that other stuff. I was like, the one he overthrew his other receiver. It's like, what? He should have had another one where it got tipped up and they dropped it. They had another one that hit their chest. Should have had it. It was just like brain dead type of passes that is like this far in the league, and he's like somebody that doesn't get like he gets he gets, or what he was getting is that he sort of the say in the pocket dissect, like that's what the name, that the tag that he got. Not today. That's not what that was. Um, so I was like, his interceptions were bad, and on top of them being bad, I think also is the fact too that you don't have Nico Collins. I was like, you don't have. I was like, you didn't have your left tackle. You eventually didn't. I mean, you didn't have your right tackle. Then you lost your left tackle. I was like, you didn't. And then Dalton Schultz went out, and it was already after I think he done had one interception. That I think that the second interception came right along that as well too. So I'm like, you are out your best receiver, your best tight end, and your top tackle. The conditions are wintry, snowy, rain. I was like, well, mostly rainy at this point. Why? I was like, why are you playing this game that you don't have to play? Yes, I understand you might have to do more because you might feel like, I gotta lead this team. We can't really run the ball that greatly at this moment. Which I was like, the coach should have had more Nick Chubb, I believe, or whatever. Then I was like, then Mark, or should have used him as a receiver, because they were talking about in the broadcast how he's a good receiving back. You don't have any receiver. Use more matchup with him. Use him like Luke, like McCaffrey. But you have all those elements. You can feel it. It feels like a defensive game. Your defense is wrecking them at this point. I was like, they took the touchdown off, but guess what? I was like, you basically got up 10. I was like 10-7. And you had a chance to score, go back down and get some more points. The momentum felt like it was on your side. Like I said, your defense is killing them. And the thing is, it's like crazy enough they couldn't get enough of those fumbles they kept causing to give y'all more opportunities to blow it. That's the crazy part. Yeah, so this is all on CJ Stroud. And I was like, and you know what? And the thing is like, this is where I say like the momentum thing, you feel it, is because when I was like, when they score, even though they don't get I was like, they just got the 3 points, but they score. They show they could go down the field on New England. Then they were able to go down to New England again. Pause. But and you sort of felt that once you felt like, oh man, New England can't get any offense, and they really couldn't throughout most of the game. They really couldn't. I was like, they were just able to get a couple first down to just like, and then like once you was getting those intercept, like once the pick six happened, I basically sort of knew it was a wrap, because that's like, it was just like whoever got the defensive score felt like it was going to win. And the defense tried, and CJ Stroud like wasted that great defense, because you don't know how that defense is going to come back this year. They start out slow to even be in this spot in the first place. Like that was some stuff where it's just kind of like, it's like, yo, just keep the ball, take this. You seen in the second half that he started doing it, but by then it was kind of a little bit too late. Which I know is crazy to say, but it felt like even before New England scored that last touchdown, that you just felt like, if you don't score a touchdown, which they didn't, you ain't got there's nothing for you to do. I was like, it's that's sort of it. So I was like, that game was one of the ones that really like pissed me off. I was like, that one pissed me off differently, because like the Broncos Bills game, that I was like, that was just more just like sort of watching the game and stuff like that, because it was a really good game. The Texans Patriots game really just pissed me off, because it was just bad. It was bad football play, and I really hate bad football play when I don't have a rooting. When I don't even gonna say a rooting interest, but not even a team per se to like really choose. Like my team's not playing, so now I'm like picking on like between these two teams or whatever. Um, I was like, yeah, it was really bad. And there was a little bit of that here too, where it just felt like, it's like, you're not playing Madden. You're not playing Madden. And I was like, that's a lot of these games too, where it's just kind of like, You could tell it. I was like, I'm gonna save 2 points at the end of this. At the end of this. Anyway, Rams and I was like Rams and Bears. I wasn't able to watch the whole game, but I was able to see basically towards the end. And Caleb Williams, that was crazy. That was crazy to get that last touchdown and that you needed on fourth down in order to basically go to overtime. Now the question comes, like, would you have gone for two? I thought they were going to go for two. Hindsight, they should have gone for two. Uh, but I understand. Just go ahead and go into overtime, just because the amount of time that they had left. Like, I understand it. I was like, it was only like 20 seconds. I was like, I sort of get it. Whereas if it was a little bit more, maybe you go for two. Like, or if it was like in the game, I was like, I can see points of going. I can see going for two. I think, but I understand. Like, you're in the home, you got the momentum, all this other stuff. The overtime thing, they had all the momentum, and I get they were wanting chunk yard, and DJ Moore did sort of slow up on this route because with the interception. But sometimes with those things, it just sort of just irritates me that I'm like, I'm like, guess what? Yeah, if he would have got the pass, and everybody's like, oh my God, they're already in field goal range, blah blah blah. But I guess I'm just like, you don't have anything to fear. Like that score wins. You got the ball. You don't need it all right here and there. Just keep getting first downs. You're good. Everything's on your side, momentum, all that other stuff. That I'm just like, you don't need to go hit a home run. Like, that feels like when you're playing from behind kind of game. But the Rams were able to win. I was like, that pass that he got to Devontae Adams, basically sit like, that one was like, oh, yep, that's game over. That type of pass, because the pass rush was just as off. I think they was able to get Matthew Stafford, but he was able to still throw that. I was like, throw that arm strength in there. And so, hey, the Rams got it. Sorry, I don't really like Matthew Stafford either. Kind of the same reason why I don't like Josh Allen, which means I really just don't like the fans and the media, the way they talk about him. Those two, I was like, no, I actually I like Josh Allen. I was like, he cool. Respect to him. Matthew Stafford, he all right. I don't have no beef, but I've never really been enamored with him in the same way of like with Josh Allen. Okay, cool, I see. I was like, I'm home. Okay, cool, I see. Lamar. Okay, I see. Yeah. Stafford, I was like, he all right. Yeah. But yeah, gonna be room for Seattle, unfortunately. Um which I think is funny. So, like, with all these playoffs out the way, that when it was these 14, wait, well, now it's 14. But when it was these 18, I was like, I think that this would have been the Houston Texans' way of getting a Super Bowl. And the reason I say that amongst all the teams is because the Bills got Josh Allen, and no matter what you say on his side, against his side, he always going to have his team in this spot, be in the playoff with a chance to win the Super Bowl, just on him alone. And I was like, even though they try to discredit so much of his team around him, I was like, his team is fairly good enough, because I was like, your team got to be somewhat in the middle in order to be the spot. Just because you're a good quarterback don't mean nothing. Look at the Bengals. Like, as much as Joe Burrow's good, like, yeah, he accounts for a good amount of wins, but they still be losing. If his defense was really that sorry, he'd be the Bengals. Um, but anyway, so I was like, the Bills are there. The Broncos, they got us. I was like, they got a solid team. I was like, with the defense, I was like, I was like, defense is underneath contract. They got young players. I was like, and then they'll eventually get off the Russell Wilson deal, and then it'll be fine. Cool. Patriots, same way. I was like, hit on a draft class, hit on a free agent class. Drake May is up there at the top. They're good. You can see it. I was like, the Bears. I was like, the improvements is on defense. They got the offense, they got the receivers, they got the line, they got the quarterback, they got the coach. They're just gonna have to improve on defense. But guess what? I was like, you can improve on what this defense was. Guess what? They're fine. So they're good. Um, I was like, I was like, San Francisco. Like I said, they just got to get healthy. Simple as that. I was like Seattle. I was like their defense is young and all and ready to go. I was like, and their veterans are signed to contracts. You got Njigba on a rookie contract. You got Darnold on a long term deal. You're good there. I was like sign receivers he draft. The Texans. The reason I say that is yeah, I was like the Neil Hunter. Yes, I was like he'll be older, but I was like he'll still be there. Anderson is out, but you never know to the level that the defense is all going to play. But I really fear about the offense. You haven't gotten the line right. You need another. I would like need a running back. Uh, Collins has been getting a lot of like hurt and like head injuries. Uh, Kirk, I was like, I don't know if what his contract is. You got a couple good receivers out of Iowa State or what and whatnot, but now it looks like the biggest question is C.J. Stroud in such a way that I was calling for Davis Mills at halftime. I think I was calling for Davis Mills in the second quarter. That's how bad it was. And because, like I said, it's not just turnovers, but it's the kind of turnovers he were doing with a team that was short on people in such a way that you made those turnovers. Like, and, like, and this, I was okay, I'll get to I'm still teaching my point. It just looked bad that I think great rookie season. We try to give him benefit of the doubt sophomore year. Third year, I was like he got injured, but he hadn't played great. He had to play. I wouldn't even say he played good. I was like, especially like he coming back. I was like, I think they would win a lot of games in spite of him. Yes, he have his moments where it's just like, yo, that's C.J. Stroud. Then he'd be like, oh, I guess that's C.J. Stroud. That I think the fourth year is kind of a little bit make or break. And not in a way of like you necessarily is going to get rid of him, but you're going to have to be making a decision on the contract. And look, if Herbert and Trevor Lawrence can get contracts, C.J. Stroud should as well too, because I was like neither one of them. I was like Trevor Lawrence was like good one year, poo a lot, good this year. Herbert, I was like, he always gets benefit of the doubts for for some reason. I think it's just because he's just big and everybody's like, he should be Josh Allen, but he's not. That I like, you're going to have to come up on basically, and look, you're not going to, I was like, somebody's going to take Davis Mills, so do you draft a quarterback? This year probably doesn't seem like that'll be the year that you will want to, but there is going to be a lot of quarterbacks late rounds that you can pick up and stash. So why not, man, necessarily? But I think it's going to be a question. Now, with C.J. Stroud, and it's not just him, I was like, it's all the quarterbacks. I don't really care what color you are, black or white. I don't care necessarily what style you play or not. And yes, there's certain level, different degrees, but I'm getting really sick and tired of that. I was like, cool, during the season, I get it a lot more. But during the playoffs, y'all need to use your legs and run. I'm tired of whatever this narrative, whatever they try to put in your head of pocket passing. Sure, yes, I'm not saying you don't need to play from the pocket. But first of all, the injuries you're talking about, all of them getting crushed from the pocket. So that whole running, like it doesn't add more hits. Yeah, but why are you getting hit? A lot of y'all should, outside of Josh Allen, who just keeps tumbling, bumbling, stumbling, uh, get as many yards you can. Die. We seen Bo Nix do it. A little bit. Get out of bounds. Whatever. And Baker Mayfield, he does it too, but that's little people syndrome. Um, but outside of that, I'm just saying, use your legs. Like you heard it on I was like, if you was listening to the them talking about Caleb Williams, where like he didn't rush out the pocket. Like he only really did like 2 or 3 times. He had a long run of like 40 yards or whatever, down the middle. But I was like, no, I was like CJ Stroud, like Drake May finally started doing it a couple of times. But I'm like, you have a crazy pass rush in such both teams. You have a crazy pass rush in a way that your receivers aren't going to probably break off in their routes fast enough. Just go. Just go. You can tell when it's man or zone. If it's zone and you don't have a spy, you could get a couple yards. This always pisses me off. Uh and I was like, this is actually to my next part of like, not only do the quarterbacks not run outside of Josh Allen for no reason, even though they all can run now. This isn't Jared Goff, Matthew Stafford, Aaron Rodgers running. I was like, everybody can pretty much run now to get a first down to almost make a defender miss with a juke. There's no excuse for it. But what pisses me off is that where they don't run, either near goal line situations where I'm like, why not? You're 3 yards away. You can't get 3 yards. The time that you got to put your shoulder into a dude, whatever. 3 yards, get the run. It ain't getting a first down when it's like third and like 11. That's not that. But with that being said, that will also piss me off when we all know that they're going for it on fourth down. We all know this is 4 down territory, or the team has demonstrated that they're willing to do for 4 downs. Why do you not try to get enough yards to make the fourth down easier? I don't. It really ticks me off just as much the goal line thing, because if it's 4 down territory, you know you gotta go on fourth down. It's third. It could be third. It could be 3rd and 8. They will throw a 40-yard bomb. Why? When you need to get the first down. Now, I'm not saying that if it's not open, it's not a shot. But sometimes it's like, that wasn't a shot. You just threw that to do that. Now it's fourth down. Why? Why? You couldn't have tried to make that a little bit easier? You try, and then sometimes it'll be like 4th and 1. Why are we making it such a crazy pass? I understand that they know that the defense know where the stick's at and all the other stuff. But I'm just like, you don't have any type of that's at the sticks? Really? You don't have anything just to get that first down? Like, and I was like, it was a little, and like it was a little bit here today, like we seen with the Bears, where it was just like 4th and 1 stuff. I was like, I even think it was with the Texans as well too, where I'm like, okay, you're near the goal line. You can literally just sort of have the quarterback at like throwing it. It doesn't have to be like a quarterback power. It doesn't have to be necessarily a read option, but the quarterback should have the ball in his hands because you're an extra person. You don't need the extra blocking. When you're at goal line, the quarterback should be an option to run. I was like, whether that's Bo Nix, CJ Stroud, I was like Caleb Williams, Drake May, all of them. You can easily get 3 yards to get the touchdown. I don't, and I was like, that pisses me off, and that's why I said the running leads to not using them on those short yardage plays. Why? It really frustrates. It really irks me on it. I was like, but hey, I'm not the one calling plays. They're the one doing all this stuff. I was like, what can you do except for be frustrated? And the thing is, it's like you'll see all the people in commentary. Hell, you might see people online talk about like running quarterbacks and all this other stuff. But when they're watching the game and they look and they see and they're just like, why didn't you try to get the first down? It is 3rd and 5, and they just part of like to see, or hell, most of the time the pass rush is coming right after you. As soon as you sort of just like break, step back, take off, take your ass and just run. It's right there. It's right there, and they don't do it. They rather throw a 30-yard bomb in double coverage that was not open. Their dupe was not open in any type of way. And I get it. At some, I was like, first quarter, cool. I understand. Get that PI or whatever. I understand that there's sometimes they get the PI. But for the most part, you're you need to keep this thing going. You know it's dire situation. You know towards the end of the game, the refs are swallowing that whistle. So guess what? You should know, hey, I'm gonna do a little scramble here. I'm gonna do a little bit of a little razzle dazzle. That's what you should do. No, but nobody does it. And I was like, it's frustrating to see that type of play when it's the playoffs. Like I said, if in the regular season, I understand that you're not going to put it all out on the line. But the playoffs, I'm just like, you can't be telling me you're over here putting it all on the line and all this other stuff. And it's like, why didn't you do it? It's like, why didn't you do it? Same thing with sometimes like the doc. Like, look, I understand. I'm just here sitting down at talking to y'all just like another person on their couch talking. But I don't understand that. Like, hey, I was like, your season base is on the line. Dive and make that catch. Run and get that first down. Same thing. I was like, it's all about the same. Yeah. So that's my biggest two. That's my biggest two things. Man. But yeah. But yeah, I was like, it sucks about the Broncos because I was like, I was like, not I'm not high on Bo Nix, but I was like, I'm okay with Bo Nix. But I think if Bo Nix is playing, I think they have a greater shot at the Super Bowl than Jared Stidham. Now, Jared Stidham could surprise everybody or whatever. I'm not. I was like, look. I was like, they talked about how Nick Foles gave like a little pep talk or whatever to, you know. So maybe sit him with Sean Payton. They still got all their stuff online. And I mean not online. They still got all their receivers and they still got their O line. They still got their base of their offense. So there's no reason why he can't go out there and do the same thing. I was like, and I do think it's a better, easier matchup against the Patriots than it is against the Texans defense. But see, it's weird, kind of like with the Texans defense, Stidham's getting crunched the whole time. You have a better shot, I think, against the Pacers defense. They're really good, but they can be had. Now the problem thing with the was like the Patriots is that their offense is able to score at a clip that the Texans can't. CJ Stroud can't. So Drake May had a better shot. I was like, which we sort of seen against this Bronco offense that they can be had. They can be had. Yes, they got Patrick Surtain and Riley Moss. And Riley Moss is a really good corner. But you can get Riley Moss, especially in comparison to Patrick Surtain, of course. If I was like, I think if you're more of an athletic quarterback with Drake May, if he decides to use his legs, like I'm saying, he can get through them because I was like I said, they don't do contain in the same way that the Texans do. The Texans defensive ends rush the passer while also keeping contained, whereas like the Broncos do a lot of. I was like, it's like they will, but then they'll do a whole lot of switching in between as well too. That's why sometimes you have Allen on the outside and like Benito in the inside or whatever. They do a lot more than the Texans do. The Texans stay in their base a lot more. Um, so yeah, I was like, you got to give it to the Patriots right now, or whatever. I was like, I don't think anybody's really back here for that. Um, but let's see, if Drake May, if he goes to the Super Bowl, is he's y'all new favorite now instead of Josh Allen. I was like, I still think Josh Allen is still going to have the heart of America or whatever. Um, you know, I was like, because I was like, it's especially now everybody's so attached. It's like what? It's almost like you're to a lot of people, it's like a favorite player you're not getting to that point. So I was like, he has it. Um, but can Drake may snatch that crown? I don't think. And the reason I don't think so is because I was like, everybody sort of do this where it's like you pick a player in a way that somebody else comes aboard, but that's not, you don't resonate, you don't feel. And I was like, Drake May, I don't know, it maybe because he's too young or whatever, but I don't know if he's at the part where people are going to be feeling for him in the same way that you feel for Josh Allen. Like, yes, it's just longer in Josh Allen's career that he got a little bit of the heartstrings in a different way. But I was like, but I think because everybody got to see his grind from day one, where Josh Allen was raw as hell. The accuracy wasn't there. He was just a big body doing big body stuff, running and bumbling and tumbling a lot. And you get to see him all the way to the point that it's like, oh, he's like one of the best quarterbacks in the league, history, all the other stuff you want to put. Where Drake May, yes, he's uh like younger, so he don't have the stepping stone necessarily. But there wasn't. I was like, there wasn't any wow. That might be New England, but he wasn't put on the map in the same way. He's not like running in a way that sort of gets you in a way that Josh Allen does. I just think so. I was like, I think it might just be a little bit more difficult. Like Drake May, and I was like, and we can. I was like, we can also talk about the New England part. The fact that if people really ready for New England to be back, and people, like Tom Brady gone, Bill Belichick gone, but are people ready for New England to win a championship without people being like, I guess New England, and so I was like, I don't. That's so I was like, that's why I don't know if Drake May is going to be hyped up, talked about in that type of way. Bo Nix, if he would have still been around, I don't know if he would have been able to do that. Cause I was like, yes, he's sort of like he seemed like a scrappy guy. He's just out there just having fun or whatever. And granted, that's some of this is because like except for you being in your with your team and or your state neighborhood whatever, that you don't really know these dudes on like the personal level that you do like the top quarterbacks. But I think he would have probably given you more than what Drake May in the New England setup would have, to where people might have been like, "Let's go, Bo Nix." Now, I think if Bo Nix got how he got hurt, but he was able to play, I think that if he wasn't out for the season, but he was on a bum leg or a bum ankle, people would really like they would root for Bo Nix because I was like he would have been like how like Phillip Rivers always used to be hurt playing with like busted ribs or torn ACL all of this stuff, and everybody's like, you know what, I'd like that Phillip Rivers guy. That hey he might I was like he might have got it. Caleb Williams, I don't know if Caleb Williams would have been, just because I like he kind of like he look the dude. I was like the dude paint his nails. I was like he got a little the zesty sassiness that people talk about in like his face and the way he reacts and stuff. That guess what? That sort of make people split where they're just like, look at this man paints his nails. Look at this guy. He loves his mother. He cries, which is also crazy. That it's like, hey, we're going to applaud Josh Allen for crying. Which I'm not saying that you should have any type of way about if he cries or not or whatever. But I was like, everybody was giving hell to Caleb Williams for or whatever when he was crying to his mom. And it's like, oh, that's look at this baby, and it's like, okay. Um, so I was like, I think Caleb Williams would have been somebody because he is not going to get football in that type of way. But Caleb Williams is somebody to be on Good Morning America. He's that type of person. Josh Allen would too. Man, I think really now because he got his wife and they're having a baby with Haley Seinfeld, so that will put him in the prominent eye. But he's football people's darling, where Caleb Williams could be a Morning America's darling, like that type of TV side of everything. Who else is there? Sam Darnold. I was like, I don't think you're gonna really have people rooting necessarily for Sam Darnold in that type of way. Like, yeah, media people maybe because they're just like, oh, he can exercise his demons, playing for the Jets, seeing ghosts, and all that other stuff. But I don't know if he going to be like how everybody's like, oh, I want him to win. Matthew Stafford, that's pretty much sort of a given. I think it's more. I was like, he got his one, so you're not going to really. It's not going to be the same type of rooting, but it will be, especially from football media, of him getting another one and being able to go into a legendary status. He's going to probably get the MVP, which is a whole shamble of award at this. I was like, at this point, but I was like, so, and then he get a second Super Bowl. I was like, they're gonna put him on like a high ass pedestal. That's like, man, it took you 20 years, but you did it. Look, nobody remember how sorry Peyton Manning was when he won his. So guess what? It's not gonna matter with Matthew Stafford. And now I'm not saying Matthew Stafford's. I'm not saying he's sorry or anything like that. I was just talking about how long it's taken. But if you do it, you do it. And I was like, that's all that's gonna matter in the history books. That's all that's gonna matter in the annals of history or whatever. A Patriots Seahawks Super Bowl. That actually probably what it's actually gonna be. I actually do think it's actually probably gonna be that. Um, I think I was like I would like if the Patriots don't win, that would probably be a shocker. If the Seahawks lose to the Rams, I wouldn't be shocked. Just because I was like they done play, they was like this be a third time playing, so you know I was like yeah I was gonna yeah because I was gonna say because you can get the Patriots, you could get the Patriots defense. Like I think they got a really good defense, but it's not a great defense. Like, yeah, you could. I was like, you could run on them, and they was like, they got a really tough line as well too, and they got a couple running backs. Um, I was like to run the ball with them as well too with Walker and Charbonnet. Keep on thinking his name is a wine or whatever. Buccaneers over Bills. I was like I'll give you the chance of the Bills being there. I was like the Buccaneers. I was like that's I feel like that's some money to put on some betting odds. Uh I was like, hey, I was like, that's fine. I was like, look, it's this late for a reason right now, right? I was like, hey, there's people up, there's people up. Um, but yeah, I was like, Bills could do that right now. I was like, well, I was like, he is at the top. I was like, you're gonna have it all. Um, yeah, no, I was gonna say Bills. I can see that. Buccaneer. I think they gotta get some pieces on defense, and I think they'll be fine or whatever. They got. I was like, cause they got a decent team, and Baker Mayfield just got to actually just stay healthy. I think he gets off to such a great start at the beginning of the year, and then he wears down at the end. Uh, but I think that's a little bit of sometimes his own doing, because uh, not that him being like such a small guy, but he runs like he's Josh Allen, but he's not Josh Allen. They fired Todd Bowles. I was like, see, that's always the problem is you don't know who necessarily you're gonna snatch up. I think I was like, don't get me wrong, I was like Todd Bowles. I think he's been fine. I don't think he's been like especially this year. It seemed like it wavered a lot more. Uh, I was like, I will say they always. I was like, also too, the OC has been changing a lot with him as well too. Do I believe in like Jesus like as he is like a historical person or as like well I guess like biblically? I feel like that's what you're asking about. Um, I'm gonna say I was like add Lord as the main guy. Hmm. I was like, see, I always thought that I always sort of figured that it was a little bit separate of like there's like God and then there's Jesus. Um, but I was like, but I guess I would like the storage and all that other stuff about him and things like that. I was like, I would say, yeah, I would think that actually is like more so true or whatever. Um, about like his journey and all these other things, stuff like that, and being persecuted and whatnot. Um, and I was like in that sense. Um, but yeah, so I was like, well, I was like, I appreciate that he does. As my Nana was saying, I was like, hopefully, I was like, give me a sign and them things like that. Talk to him. I was like, that's my that's what my nana would say. Um, I like live forever. I was like, hey, I'm betting on it. I'm betting on it. I was like, hey, I was like, beat me up to the kingdom, and I was like, beyond them pearly gates. I was like, I'll take it. I'll take it. Uh, but uh, hey, but I was like, I'm about to sign off. That's what I was doing with the weekend updates and talking about all these quarterbacks. We down to the final four: Bronco, Patriots, Seattle, LA. We'll see how it goes next week and get it all to the Super Bowl. I appreciate everybody that's been on here. Uh, go Bucks. Hey, I was like I do like the Bucks, and I will. You do the same as well. I was like, and you keep having faith, my guy. Uh, but yes, I was like, I appreciate everybody that popped in, even for a second to a long time. I appreciate it all. And until we do another one of these, maybe we'll do it more at night. See if I get enough people at night. I appreciate it. Peace out.